This mutation is called Fowl Play, and it is being played on Oblivion Express. We have two mutators active. We have Sharing is Caring, and we have Turkey Shoot. I have said, I think a lot of people know this is my favorite weekly mutation. It is a lot of fun, and there's something somewhat amusing about going ahead and using a probe to attack a turkey, which then makes nearby turkeys mad, and then they go ahead and attack your base and ravage you. I think that is very, very funny. So the two mutators here are basically, supply is shared between both the players, and if you want to build up your supply, you will have to take out these turkeys, and when you kill them, you will get, I think, 1 or 2 extra supply as a result of it. Now, the one thing to also note is that if you kill a turkey when his buddies are nearby, those buddies will become also angry at you, and then they will start attacking you and your base. So you have to be careful if you choose to go ahead and build up your supply for no apparent reason. You can see here that Alarak is already putting down a photon cannon. This photon cannon will be used to not only kill off the turkeys, but the nearby turkeys will also then become enemies, and the cannon can be used to just automatically attack. It'll automatically attack and just start farming these the supply for you. Now, the two commanders here that are being played are Alarak and Nova, so there might be a few issues. You can see here this turkey was mad previously. Now this turkey is also mad. It's an angry turkey. And it is going ahead. It actually does a lot of damage, by the way. Its bite actually can two-shot your workers. You can see what happens here is that these turkeys now are angry, and they are aggroing to the photon cannon. The photon cannon is just instantly building up your supply, so you don't really have to have you don't need to have any micro to be able to deal with that. So Alarak has already taken his expansion. His expansion nexus is down. There's one random turkey there. There's a certain range. I think it's within vision range of the of their buddies, I think, which is when they will start to aggro you. But you can use the photon cannons to just passively farm supply. Like you see, this one over here will not attack until you actually go ahead and attack it. So they're going to sit around and do nothing. One of the advantages for Alarak is Alarak doesn't really need a lot of supply to be able to be able to have a lot of damage output in this mission. So Alarak is very well suited for this mission in general, because the objective is a unit that can be targeted by his ascendants. But the other reason is that you don't really need a large number of ascendants to be able to deal with the attack waves and to be able to deal with the objective. So Alarak can kind of sacrifice the extra supply that he would normally have, just to allow his ally to macro up and also build up their army, and Alarak can take that hit because he doesn't really need as much supply to have a good amount of damage output and carry himself through the mission. So Alarak is out now, and the destruction wave that comes out one-shots the attack wave. That is the first attack wave that has been dealt with, and Nova has made this turkey very angry. This indeed is an angry turkey. It's actually kind of funny that the thing moved out of the way. It's still angry though. That's actually kind of funny. So yeah, the turkey will remain angry until you go ahead and kill it. But Nova is going ahead and taking an expansion, and now the first train has spawned and will be making its way on the top rail. So yeah, for the most part, all okay. There's a photon cannon on the front there as well. It just provides a little bit of extra damage output. And you can see here that Nova is also building a few more railgun turrets. And this is just basically to deal with any random turkeys that manage to get vision when they're killing off some of their buddies. And that will make sure that your mineral lines do not get ravaged by those dudes, as you're not paying attention there. So there's a pylon already ready for Alarak, and Alarak will be overcharging this pylon to provide himself with the extra damage output. So Nova is already in position, jumps forward with a shotgun blast combined with a destruction wave, and now these commanders are going to end up cleaning up this train with no problems whatsoever. The next attack wave now is already at the base here, just at the bottom of the ramp, and now it's going to be working its way here. There is an overcharge that comes down to try and protect that railgun turret, but we'll see whether that railgun turret is going to survive. It doesn't look like it's going to survive. It's going to be really close though, and yeah, the Mulists do end up getting cleaned up with very little bit of HP left onto that on that railgun turret. So there's a repair now. Yeah, the railgun turret was around 30 HP. There's a repair that goes down onto that turret, and now that's pretty much done. There were a few turkeys now that had spawned from the train, but those end up also getting cleaned up by Nova, and now the commanders are sitting at 111 supply. The other thing to also note is your supply reductions. Your supply goes down throughout the course of the game. And the rate at which it goes down is dependent on how much supply you have. So the more supply you have, the faster it goes down. So that is also something else to take into consideration when you're playing this mutation. You want to try and maintain as low supply as possible and using as supply efficient units as possible. So it's very easy to pick a commander like Zagara and say, you know what, now Zagara is not capped at the 100 supply, so she'll be really good. But you are actually being a detriment by having such large supplies as well. So that's something else to also take into consideration. You need high efficiency units that deal a lot of damage and take a very small amount of supply. So we have a bunch of siege tanks now that are ready. Are they going to shell this turkey? They are within range. Nova also has a graduating range upgrade, so that is going to increase the range of these turrets, of these siege tanks. They are here. Those turkeys stand no chance against those siege tanks. Now Alarak is going to go ahead and build some more ascendants. So the ascendants are going to be sitting in the base at the moment, just to make sure that there's no unnecessary casualties, because Alarak has to make sure that these ascendants are able to power up and get those power overwhelming stacks. That'll give them an extra shield in case there's survivability over here. Mula still was trying to harass the siege tanks, but that ends up getting cleaned up. And now the only thing that is left is this train here. What you can actually do is Alarak is put down a pylon on here and just overcharge that pylon, and that will provide you with a little bit of extra damage output. As you can see here, Nova is just sniping out this Mutalisk, and now these Descendants are still there, and they should probably go ahead and deal with this train, because this train is going to be getting away unless the commanders go ahead and do it. There is another Griffin airstrike that drops in, and it does a good amount of damage to the train. Now these Ascendants are in position. A few more Mind Blasts, and they should be good to go. As you can see, the trains, when they die, they actually produce a few turkeys for these commanders. So there's a few Psionic Orbs now. Unfortunately, it does not end up wiping out the of the Zerglings, but the Banelings. But the Banelings line up for that railgun turret and end up getting cleaned up by Alarak. So Alarak now is going to be just warping in some more Ascendants and just a few more Supplicants just to replenish the energy. It'll be good to go. Now the Ascendants are getting a little bit harassed by these Mutalisks. They'll be pulled back a little bit, and that has been essentially cleaned up. A few more turkeys were harassing the site, but they ended up getting cleaned up by the Ascendant Psionic Orbs, and now the next train is spawning with... and Alarak has a good number of Ascendants right now. This is basically an optimal number. There are 13 Ascendants right now. All that is needed for Alarak is to just have a few more Supplicants, just so they can quickly replenish his energy here. Nova's first set of Liberators is also out, so those should be able to increase the damage up into the train. Alarak will have to try and utilize the Psionic Orbs efficiently and make sure those Infestors do not end up fungal growthing the Ascendants. And that was pretty much well handled over there. Alarak getting a little bit of damage from these Mutalisks, but now there's a Photon Overcharge onto this pylon, and now this train is going to go. There are a few hybrids here that are harassing the Ascendants, so Alarak will have to go ahead and clean up this site. Lots of Mutalisks still, unfortunately, here, and Alarak will have to clean up this with no problems. And now, unfortunately, there are all infested turkeys here, but a lot of the Psionic Orbs go down, and those things are able to clean up a large number of them. These things do a lot of structured damage. Just see the amount of damage output from these infested turkeys here. You have to be really careful when you choose to do this, because these infested turkeys actually they deal an insane amount of damage. They deal like 100 damage? It's like 80 to 100 damage or something on just one turkey over here. Yeah, it does 70 damage to structures on per hit, which is ridiculous. But there is another train here. Alarak cannot move out of position though. He has to go ahead and deal with the stack wave. So those Mutalisks do end up getting cleaned up for the most part. A few more stragglers left. Those need to get cleaned up as well. And now there's one last Mutalisk that has managed to dodge those Psionic Orbs. And now Alarak is going to go ahead and poke a little bit of these turkeys just to can build up a little bit more of a supply. The infested turkeys, also note that they do not provide the extra supply, so they are purely an aggressive thing that just deals damage to you. Nova is going to try ahead and go and deal with this bonus objective. I don't think Nova will be able to do it though. So now Alarak has to go ahead and deal with this next set of train spawns. And this one is accompanied by a very strong escort wave. So Alarak will have to be careful to make sure he doesn't end up losing his army unnecessarily. And now we can see the supply is starting to rise. It's going to start causing some problems here. The loss of the cannon as well means that there's nothing really for Alarak to do to be able to deal with that one turkey here. And Alarak has to make sure he doesn't end up losing his army. There's a fungal growth that comes down onto these ascendants, but again, lots of Psionic Orbs go down, and that is pretty much the entire escort wave completely cleaned up by this. There are a few hybrid destroyers that end up spawning. Unfortunately, there is no energy for Alarak to deal with this. So there's another Warping of Supplicants, and now there's enough damage output here for Alarak to go ahead and clean up this side. And supplies are at 191 supply. Nova has been able to clean up this train. So now Alarak is just going to just use whatever abilities he has to just get some more supply built up from these trains. And these trains are the source of a good amount of supply for the team. So whenever you take out these trains, you get the extra drop from the turkeys. If they're not the infested turkeys, you actually get a good amount of supply, and you don't have to utilize it as well. So both the commanders are sitting on a total of 139 supply, because most of the ascendants, most of Alarak's army is in ascendants. It's not in the amount of it's not in the supplicants. Alarak is warping in supplicants only when he needs them, and they're only there temporarily. So another bunch of Psionic Orbs go down, and it's only one shot this attack wave. Attack wave is done. Now Alarak will probably have to warp in a few more supplicants just to feed his ascendants and make sure that they have enough energy to deal with the next train wave. So Nova is dropping now another set of Liberators, and now the next train has spawned and will be working its way onto this middle rail now. So Alarak has a good number of ascendants. He's going to warp in a few more supplicants. These supplicants are just going to be used to feed the ascendants. As you can see, it's a very temporary thing. The supplicants warp in, and then they get absorbed by the ascendants. So the Alarak is not really wasting a lot of supply. So the supply can actually be given to his ally, who does actually need a lot of supply to be able to maintain her army. And there is a turkey over here that decides to get ganked up by a bunch of probes here. And Alarak is ready and in position. Now, Alarak should be pushing a little bit forward so that he can intercept this before this. But there are a lot of siege tanks over there. A few Psionic Orbs go down. I take out a few of the Broodlords. A few more Psionic Orbs go down again. That is the rest of the Broodlords cleaned up. And now there's just a focus fire down onto this train. There are a few Muliks that did manage to survive, but that's pretty much it. There's going to be another warping of supplicants, and those supplicants again going to get fed to Alarak. And now Alarak has to go ahead and deal with these infested turkeys, which he is able to do because the Psionic Orbs are really great abilities. There are 3 Hybrid Dominators on here that have spawned for no apparent reason. I'm not really sure where they are. Double Overcharge was a bit of an overreaction to an Alarak, but there are also some infested turkeys here, which is why the Double Overcharge was used. Those turkeys actually spawned on here, and then they moved up on that side. So that is why there was a Double Overcharge there. But still, one of those structures goes down. That was the Ascendant Archives that gets picked off by those infested turkeys. They do a lot of damage. 70 damage to structures per volley is just insane. Now there's another attack wave that is making its way towards the player's bases, but Alarak's ascendants are filled with energy and they'll be good to go. A few Psionic Orbs go down, and that is pretty much the entire attack wave that just evaporates the sheer amount of damage that these things can do. And yeah, Alarak is pretty much good to go. He is sitting at a total of 20 ascendants. And he's going to warp in some more supplicants here just to provide him with a few more mineral income and build everything up. He's not actually saturated on the gases here. He doesn't really need those gases, so it's not really too much of a problem for him. He just needs to make sure he has enough minerals to be able to sustain his ascendants, and might be a bit of a problem. A few turkeys are mad at Alarak at the moment. Ascendants end up eating up whatever is left of those things. Yeah, for the most part, these turkeys are just aggroing Alarak now. And now Alarak is in position to go ahead and deal with this next train. There's another Warping of Supplicants here. This will be for the emergency usage once Alarak ends up using it. Do we have an Empowerment coming out now from Alarak? So I decide to pull back a little bit and then use another Destruction Wave to one-shot a large number of the units here. And pretty much this entire attack wave is gone. Waiting for his Ascendants to start powering up, and now they will go ahead and Mind Blast this train, and you can see the amount of damage output very, very quick. Now a few more Psionic Orbs to end up cleaning up whatever's left of the stragglers in that escort wave, and now that train is going to end up going down. Alarak has to be a little bit careful. He wants to clean up these this hybrid, and there we go. So now there's another Warping of Supplicants, and a few more turkeys, all mad at Alarak. But that is going to be that taken care of. Nova, on the other hand, has dealt with this train on her side, and now the Turking is making its way towards this player's base. And this Turking is really, really nasty, and it can deal a lot of damage very quickly. But Alarak is getting ready to intercept it, and this Turking is going to have a really bad day because there we go. Instantly, one-shot Turking doesn't even get one ability off before just getting completely wrecked. And that is the power of Alarak's Ascendance. We have another attack wave that is coming up. A few hybrid destroyers on this side, but Alarak has to go ahead and engage that attack wave before it gets into position. There is a Griffin airstrike, but pretty much the entire attack wave gets wiped before that airstrike hits. There are maybe few more Brood Lords. Again, those will end up getting cleaned up by Alarak's Ascendants, and Alarak comes in to clean up these destroyers as well, and that is pretty much the end of that attack wave and its escort. This is the last and final train. Bonus objective is just going to get left behind because Nova is not in the position to deal with that, and Alarak unfortunately was busy dealing with the train, so he is going to get Ray and get into position now to deal with his last train. There is a Turkey that is harassing this side, and that was just an overcharge here because there's really no need to, you know, move his army out of position again just to deal with that one Turkey. And so might as well just use that overcharge, just keep that Turkey out of the way now for a while. And any others that might see that their buddy has been just completely shredded by an overcharge. Alarak and Ascendants are now good to go. There's going to be another Warping of Supplicants. Just a small Warping there. And now Alarak is good to go. He's going to use his Mind Blast on the hybrid. Nice airstrike comes down. Takes off a good chunk of the attack wave, but the attack wave did manage to split up because of these liveries. Nova's nuke comes down as well, and one shots pretty much the remainder of that attack wave here. And yeah, 2 Mulas survived, but that is pretty much it. That is all the trains done. That is GG.